Well, conditions above the water are not always quite so clement, and that's a huge problem for engineers who have plans to colonize the sea with huge wind parks. While the sea breeze could potentially produce even more energy than here on land, the combination of gusting winds and high waves certainly complicates matters, so much so in fact that engineers have their hands full just preventing their wind machines from breaking like matchsticks.
This is a wind turbine after the storm Jeanette passed through. Felled like a rotten tree, its foundation ripped from the earth. If disasters like this happen on land, then what could happen in the storm-tossed North Sea? Danish expert Jens Bonefeld knows about the problems of wind turbines on the open water. Last year, he helped construct the world's largest offshore wind park on a reef in the North Sea.
The biggest in the beginning was to be sure that the soil out there was suitable for foundation and it was stable, so to speak, that we don't have any big movements of the seabed.
But the Danes were lucky. The reef was firmly anchored. From the work vessel, they rammed steel pipes 40 meters deep into the ocean bed. The steel posts weigh around 200 tons apiece. Huge stone blocks help support them in the fickle currents. On top of the foundation post, Bonefeld's team built the towers one at a time. The screws used to hold everything together were also resistant to the corrosive seawater. In the end, the workers mounted the turbines themselves, each one weighing 250 tons. The rotary blades alone weigh 6 tons, and everything is held up by a single post. It's a challenge for man and machine. The technicians spent days up on the towers fixing problems 80 meters above the water surface. And the weather didn't always play along.
We have had situations where we have had to leave the site, and a rough planning estimate says that every second day you can't go there on average.
But it was worth it. In a single year, the wind park provided electricity for 120,000 Danish households. That's a lot more energy than a similar park based on land would have provided, because wind is more constant over the water. And it was all produced without emitting a single molecule of greenhouse gas. Hinrich Eden from Bremen would like to follow his Danish colleague's example. Every year, his company makes about 150 of the towers for wind turbines. Germany is a world leader in wind energy production, but all 14,000 of its turbines are land-based, for good reason. The Danish wind park has been placed on a large, flat reef, which is just 10 meters thick on the average. It's also close to the mainland, which means it's relatively easy to lay underwater power lines. The projects being carried out in the German waters of the North Sea are different. Here the coast, shown in yellow, is protected by a layer of tidal flats. Wind turbines can only be placed beyond them, where the water is more than 30 meters deep. That requires huge and expensive lengths of underwater cable, which means only enormous turbines could be profitable. And as large as Hinrich Eden's towers are, they're not nearly big enough to serve as North Sea turbines. They would have to be twice as large. That means that a simple pole would no longer suffice as a support. The current favorite among foundation designs is the tripod. It's more stable in the face of waves and currents, and is less affected by vibrations caused by storms. With rotors turned off, the tripods should be able to withstand hurricanes and tidal waves. But what exactly should a foundation look like? It certainly requires data from the turbine's future anchorage spot. That can be provided by the Fino research platform, located in the North Sea some 30 kilometers off Borkum, where authorities have given the green light for Germany's first offshore wind park. The station monitors waves and currents along with data on wind, bird flight patterns, and shipping. Around 800 tons of steel will be needed for a single tripod, 4 times as much as is required for a normal tower. The construction is also unwieldy. It won't fit into a normal ship for river traffic. That's why steel companies based on the North Sea coast are now looking for a suitable deep-water port for the final stages of construction. There's a lot of work left to be done before the first German offshore wind park rises from the waves.